currently Earth.
March 15th in 44 BC is known as the Ides of March. Julius Caesar, dictator of Rome, is stabbed in the Roman Senate house by 60 conspirators led by Marcus Junius Brutus and Gaius Cassius Longinus on March 15th. The day later became infamous as the Ides of March. Caesar, born into the Julii, an ancient but not particularly distinguished Roman aristocratic family, began his political career in 78 BC as a prosecutor for the anti-patrician Popular Party. He won influence in the party for his reformist ideas and oratorical skills, and aided Roman imperial efforts by raising a private army to combat the king of Pontus in 74 BC. He was an ally of Pompey, the recognized head of the Popular Party, and essentially took over this position after Pompey left Rome in 67 BC to become commander of Roman forces in the east. In 63 BC, Caesar was elected Pontifex Maximus, or high priest, allegedly by heavy bribes. 2 years later, he was made governor of farther Spain, and in 60 BC returned to Rome, ambitious for the office of consul. The consulship, essentially the highest office in the Roman Republic, was shared by two politicians on an annual basis. Consuls commanded the army, presided over the Senate and executed its decrees, and represented the state in foreign affairs. Caesar formed a political alliance, so-called First Triumvirate, with Pompey and Marcus Licinius Crassus, the wealthiest man in Rome, and in 59 BC was elected consul. Although generally opposed by the majority of the Roman Senate, Caesar's land reforms won him popularity with many Romans. In 58 BC, Caesar was given 4 Roman legions in Cisalpine Gaul and Illyricum, and during the next decade demonstrated brilliant military talents as he expanded the Roman Empire and his reputation. Among other achievements, Caesar conquered all of Gaul, made the first Roman inroads into Britain, and won devoted supporters in his legions. However, his successes also aroused Pompey's jealousy, leading to the collapse of their political alliance in 53 BC. The Roman Senate supported Pompey and asked Caesar to give up his army, which he refused to do. In January of 49 BC, Caesar led his legions across the Rubicon River in Cisalpine Gaul to Italy, thus declaring war against Pompey and his forces. Caesar made early gains in the subsequent civil war, defeating Pompey's army in Italy and Spain, but was later forced into retreat in Greece. In August of 48 BC, with Pompey in pursuit, Caesar paused near Pharsalus, setting up camp at a strategic location. When Pompey's sensational forces fell upon Caesar's smaller army, they were entirely routed, and Pompey fled to Egypt, where he was assassinated by an officer of the Egyptian king. Caesar was subsequently appointed Roman consul and dictator, but before settling in Rome, he traveled around the empire for several years and consolidated his rule. In 45 BC, he returned to Rome and was made dictator for life. As sole Roman ruler, Caesar launched ambitious programs of reform within the empire. The most lasting of these was his establishment of the Julian calendar, which, with the exception of a slight modification and adjustment in the 16th century, remains in use today. He also planned new imperial expansions in Central Europe and to the east. In the midst of these vast designs, he was assassinated on March 15th in 44 BC by a group of conspirators who believed that his continuance of eternity would lead to the restoration of the Roman Republic. However, the result of the Ides of March was to plunge Rome into a fresh round of civil wars, out of which Octavian, Caesar's grandnephew, would emerge as Augustus, the first Roman emperor, destroying the Republic forever. It was March 15th in the year 1917, during the February Revolution, that Czar Nicholas II, ruler of Russia since 1894, is forced to abdicate the throne by the Petrograd insurgents, and a provincial government is installed in his place. Crowned on May 26 in 1894, Nicholas was neither trained nor inclined to rule, which did not help the autocracy he sought to preserve in an era desperate for change. The disastrous outcome of the Russo-Japanese War led to the Russian Revolution of 1905, which the Tsar defused only after signing a manifesto promising representative government and basic civil liberties in Russia. However, Nicholas soon retracted most of these concessions, and the Bolsheviks and other revolutionary groups won wide support. In 1914, Nicholas led his country into another costly war, and discontent in Russia grew as food became scarce. Soldiers became war-weary, and devastating defeats on the Eastern Front demonstrated the Tsar's ineffectual leadership. In March of 1917, the army garrison at Petrograd joined striking workers in demanding socialist reforms, and Tsar Nicholas II was forced to abdicate. Nicholas and his family were first held at the Tsarskoye Selo Palace and also in the Yekaterinburg Palace near Tobolsk. In July of 1918, the advance of counter-revolutionary forces caused the Yekaterinburg Soviet forces to fear that Nicholas might be rescued. After a secret meeting, a death sentence was passed on the imperial family, and Nicholas, his wife, his children, and several other servants were gunned down on the night of July 16th. They continue their eternity. It was March 15th in the year 1968 that construction started on the north tunnel of the Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnel on Interstate 70 in Colorado, some 60 miles west of Denver. Located at an altitude of more than 11,000 feet, the project was an engineering marvel and became the world's highest vehicular tunnel when it was completed in 1979. 4 months after opening, 1 million vehicles had passed through the tunnel. Today, some 10 million vehicles drive through it each year. The North Tunnel, or bore, was finished on March 8th in 1973 and named for America's 34th president, who was in office from 1953 to 1961. Construction on the South Tunnel began on August 18th in 1975 and was finished on December 21st in 1979. The South Tunnel was named for Edwin C. Johnson, a Colorado governor and U.S. senator who was a big supporter of an interstate highway system across his state. Interstate 70 stretches more than 2,100 miles from Interstate 15, Cove Fort, Utah, to Baltimore, Maryland. It was America's first interstate highway project. Construction began in 1956 and ended in 1992 in Glenwood Canyon, located near the city of Glenwood Springs in western Colorado. The North Tunnel cost $117 million to construct, and at the height of the building process, some 1,140 people worked 3 shifts, 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. The South Tunnel cost $145 million and employed 800 workers, approximately 500 of whom were involved in drilling operations. The Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel cuts through the Continental Divide at an average elevation of 11,112 feet. Driving conditions around the tunnel can be challenging during the months between November and April. The surrounding area receives an average of 26 feet of snow during those months. The North Tunnel, which handles westbound traffic, is 1.693 miles long, while the South Tunnel, eastbound traffic, is 1.697 miles. Illuminating those tunnels is no small task. Each has approximately 2,000 light fixtures using 8-foot bulbs. The Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel is an impressive accomplishment, but it's small potatoes compared to some others. The 15.2-mile-long Laerdal Tunnel in Norway is the world's longest road tunnel. One of the busiest vehicular tunnels in America is the Lincoln Tunnel, which was built under the Hudson River to connect New Jersey and Midtown Manhattan in New York City. That tunnel center tube opened in 1937, while its north tube opened in 1945, and its south tube opened in 1957. In 2019, roughly 18 million vehicles passed through the Lincoln Tunnel.
The information documented on this audio file can be verified on history.com.